Hello, and welcome to another rousing rendition of Looking Out and Up. I'm Les.
And I'm Penny.
Thanks for joining us. And Penny,
And this is Zedar.
yeah, that's Little
Yes.
Dog. Little Dog. And what are we talking about this week, Penny? We make up the bullet points and we're going to follow along.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of folks changing their diets, and a lot of YouTubers changing their diet, and they're saying how it's healthy for them, and I think it's wonderful that their change in what they decide to eat is and has been working out for them. But I think it's a short term benefit, and I just feel that there's an awful lot of people pushing these various diets diets like the keto diet or
Carnivore diet.
the carnivore diet. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian or
Yeah, these things both seem to be like pretty extreme, right? So the carnivore diet is extreme to one end, and the vegan diet is extreme to the other end. And how do it? I don't know, folks. When do extremes tend to work out, right? When does that ever seem to be? You're kind of taught from an early age that moderation in all things is kind of the key, and we all have our failings, so it's not that we all have our shortcomings, but. I fail to see how a carnivore diet is moderation in any way, shape, or form, and I fail to see how a vegan diet is moderation in any way, shape, or form. So what we're going to try to cover here is, because we've kind of been through a little bit of a gamut. I was macrobiotic for a number of years, and Penny actually made me separate
paleo.
meal. Yeah, I was never really too much that way, but yeah,
Even there's raw food diet too.
It's easy to get sucked into this, folks, without any really. It's one thing that you see. People are all about instant gratification, and we have to be very careful about instant gratification. So somebody gets online, they've been on the carnivore diet, and they've lost 150 pounds. That's wonderful, but more than likely, really, and it's the same with vegans. It's very easy to lose weight. Well, it's easy to lose weight on a vegan diet if you're not eating the sugary, what vegans now consider Oreos are vegan. There's no, and to me that's a real stretch of a vegan diet. If you're going to be vegan, folks, sugar is like one of the worst things you can probably possibly consume. It's way already to the end. You're probably eating a lot of fruits. You're eating a lot of. People tend to be. Humans are drawn to sweets. So you're going to be eating more often than not, unless you're very careful about how you're setting up your vegan diet. You're going to be consuming a ton of fruits and sweet vegetables, and then on top of that, you're going to throw sugar in there, and now you are going to really, really be way too what.
I'm not saying that any of these diets are bad. What I'm saying that there's a potential that long term.
Well, you don't want to say it, but I will. Anytime you are extreme over the long haul, there is going to be a price that you are going to pay. You cannot be extreme vegan to the point of, like I say, be very careful if you're a vegan, and you cannot be extreme to the carnivore side and not pay a price, folks. This is observable when you look around you. There's no evidence to this. If you're going to be extreme one way or the other, realize that there are going to be consequences for being extreme.
But what bothers me is the people that are going on these diets. I don't think they're being sincere. I think they're doing these diets because it's trendy, it's popular.
Well, that's also a lot of virtue signaling, right? So it's a lot of people who want to. You see this it's really obvious with most vegans. there's an old joke about, you'll know a vegan within 5 minutes of meeting them because they're going to announce that they're a vegan to you at some point within that first 5 minutes. They wear it as a badge of honor, and like you say, it's trendy and it's a virtue signal. Now, oh, I don't believe in killing animals. Well, I got news for you, folks. I grew up in a farming area. Tons of animals die as a result of planting crops. I don't know how else to tell you this, whether it's soybeans, whether it's corn, whether it's your gardens, whether people growing vegetables. Animals are the enemy in growing vegetables. My wife does Penny does this every year. She battles with the rabbits and the other things out front of our home when she grows her garden. And
I don't battle with them. I am trying to coexist.
You coexist with them, but what does that cost you? That a farmer is not willing to, the sacrifice he's not willing to make and you are willing to make, he cannot share those items and have a profitable farm. So pest extermination, and pests include, folks, anything. It's not just aphids and caterpillars. Pests include anything that is digging into or affecting his bottom line, and that includes birds, that includes rabbits, that includes deer. Folks, you have to be realistic about this, and even the very fact of clearing land to farm it displaces all kinds of animals. And the fact that you don't have your hands actively involved in the killing doesn't mean that the killing doesn't exist. It's no different than when roads go in, animals are displaced when we have to build roads. I'm not a huge fan, but Ted Nugent said it years ago, and I actually agree with this. Pretty much mankind doesn't do anything, doesn't make any progress without a gut pile. And there is more truth. It's real easy to look at that and say, oh, what a bunch of crap. It is 100% true, folks. We do not make progress, I'm doing air quotes here, without animals and other things in our environment suffering for us to have those things. Folks, if you're on an iPad, if you are on your phone, I don't know if you've seen how they lithium mine. There are all kinds of displaced and dead animals due to you having that phone in your hand right now. So just be realistic about it. Understand that no matter what it is, no matter what diet you're following, animals have paid a price for you to follow that diet. There is no free ride here that you're going to do something that does not displace or kill animals simply because of your dietary choices.
I think there's it's an awful lot of people that that announce their diet. I'm a vegan, and I've seen a lot of vegans. I know throughout my lifetime, vegetarians. I know the bodily characteristics, their body, their physical characteristics. I can tell if somebody's a vegan or somebody's a vegetarian. And I have met a lot of people.
In the last 15 years, you've met a lot of people, yeah.
Yes, that have announced their diet to me. And I tell my husband in privacy, I say BS.
Yeah.
It's
Vegans are thin, folks. I don't know how else to explain this to you. Vegans and vegetarians tend to be very thin people. The exception of that is that modern society has allowed us to consume vegetarian and vegan things like Doritos and, well, sugar, white cane sugar, folks, is 100% vegan. That's not the idea behind a vegan diet, at least traditionally. Processed sugar from both sides, it really should probably be pretty much a no-no or a very, very limited intake of processed sugar. No matter what you're following, carnivore diet, whatever it is you're doing, sugar is a key here. So
I used to get into discussions with them, and they're
very militant.
Very militant, and I don't know how else to prove to them that maybe long term this is not going to be healthy for you.
Yeah, and when we it is funny because people's dietary choices a lot of times is like a license to be rude or just say things that would not be normally socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a tendency to be very, very rude about their life choice when it comes to diet.
I mean, I tell them, I said, well, you need proof? I said, well, let's look to science. And what does science tell us?
Well, science is kind of science has not been real good on this subject. It's when you say science, I look at it a little bit differently than most people. I just say that all of us are scientists. We may not have degrees, but we are all able to observe what goes on around us. And from the scientific standpoint, diet should probably be determined by teeth
Mm-hmm.
and by intestinal makeup. And folks, I got news for you. Humans are omnivores. And
What's an omnivore?
eats anything pretty much available to them. We are capable. There's a reason that there are 7+ billion, 8+ billion people on the earth. People can subsist on all kinds of things. They can be vegans. They can be carnivores. But traditionally they are omnivores. And for this, it's when I see people on carnivore diets, and they'll harken back to Native Americans and all of this, and that is true. Comanchera or the Comanches were probably almost 100% dependent on the buffalo as their food source. They were warring people, which
Mm-hmm.
should stand out to folks, that their diet was almost 100% meat, and they were very aggressive. They were actually very mean. They some of their tactics and how they dealt with prisoners and were not very nice, folks. If you look into the history of the Comanche people, but never underestimate, for anybody who's saying that they are a carnivore, remember that traditionally the Comanche ate even the intestines of the buffalo while they still had the foodstuffs in the intestines. It was kind of the beginning. It's what we call the traditional sausage, and it was cooked and it was eaten as a sausage, and that's where their plant matter came from.
So according to science, an animal is either an herbivore,
A carnivore
a carnivore,
or an omnivore.
or an omnivore.
And we belong to the omnivore category, and like I say, you don't need
According to our teeth, if you look at the formation, the teeth design of a human being, we have the pointy teeth, like in cat teeth, and
they're actually called canines.
and it's used to tear and rip meat apart. But that's not the only kind of teeth that humans have. We also have teeth
We have molars.
which are grinders. They're flat. They grind.
Yeah, and what do you do with grains traditionally? You grind grains.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are capable. We can look at Inuit people, or as they were originally called, what way people called them for centuries, Eskimos. They live almost 100% on a carnivore diet. They consume every part of that animal, though, for people out there who are going to make the argument for the carnivore diet. They eat every part of the animal. There's very few, I don't know of any society. I try to think this, we've been over this, and I've researched this for years, because it's actually kind of a passion of mine a little bit, is the whole diet and the vegan end of it. And you won't find a single vegan society on Earth. There's people who are, and I don't know that this term would even fit. You can say there's groups of people around the world who are 90% vegan, but that's not really possible. They're not 90% vegan. We would probably put them more into the category of being vegetarian. And a lot of times that's just got more to do with accessibility than it does to do. They're not. India's a little bit different, but the rest of the world, it's not that they're adverse to eating animals. They're not averse to eating the animals. They just don't have them accessible or available. But their traditions still call for, on special occasions, they will eat lamb or goat or cattle. These people will all do this, or deer, or whatever it is they possibly have available to them. You just don't see. So you don't see societies that are vegan-based, that are long-term vegan-based. Sometimes it's done out of necessity, but it's not done out of choice. Most of those groups would still choose to eat some sort of meat, some sort of protein from meat.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and this gets into I think we covered this just briefly in a past podcast. Um, Most places, folks, do not have that much food variety. This bothers us because of our modern culture, but there is not a ton of food variety for most people around the world. I think that Japan is considered the most variable in their diet. They have the most variety. They have bear and deer and fish and numerous vegetables and soybeans, and they've got all this. They have, I think, the most what's the word I'm looking for here?
Diverse.
Diverse. They have the most diverse diet of almost any place on earth, simply because of their island nature and what they have available. But most folks do. We're kind of cheating a system here a little bit. What's actually available to most people traditionally is not that diverse of a of foods. We don't. That's just not how people normally live. But we do know that most of the cultures here in North America, their whole basis for existing, or what they look to as the most important food stuff, was corn. They actually learned to plant corn. I think they claim that originally corn only was planted by the wind, right? So, and they somehow modified corn to the point that they could plant corn and get it to grow. And you see this in Asian countries, where rice, this was the staple for the Asian countries. And when you look at staples traditionally around the world, they're almost all grain based, folks. And this was something that you could keep. And here's the thing about grains: they don't require refrigeration. It stopped a lot of carnivores, people who are following the carnivore diet, taken as their basis. Oh, we were hunter gatherers, and do you think most people were capable of killing an animal every couple of days to live, when they had rocks and very crude spears? And no, I think most societies had to quickly turn, at least for society to grow, for there to be centers of people and tribes, large tribes, to exist. Humanity quickly turned to agriculture. I know science is going to tell you otherwise. Oh, it only occurred 10,000 years ago. I don't believe that for 1 minute. And like I say, that's just observable, folks. I don't need somebody to tell me otherwise. It's observable that grains have been a staple to humanity for tens of thousands of years. You wouldn't have city centers, and you wouldn't have these things without grains, unless you're going to try to tell me that somehow they were raising. I mean, when was the livestock actually "quote unquote" domesticated? Because that's what would be required to have large city centers, folks. You're going to quickly. You can't have a city center stuck in the middle of, we'll just say, the Mayan population can't have a city center stuck someplace, and they're only going to hunt deer and the local animals. Well, you quickly hunt yourself out, folks, when you have city centers that have got 20,000 and 30,000 people. There would be no wandering game of any sort. So for these societies to have existed, they had to be grain-based to a degree. And it's not like they didn't raise guinea fowl or anything like that.
So, I want to end this. Not end it, but I don't want to forget. What's been bothering me is, I want to tell you this: whatever diet you're on, when you are an invited dinner guest over to someone's house, whatever diet you're on, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, raw diet, if you lactose intolerant, gluten free, it is not a license to be rude and ungrateful, and neither should you have an expectation that the host who invited you over for dinner is going to prepare a meal according to your diet.
Yeah, if you want to keep a diet so badly, this is the old idiom of it's better to keep a friend than to keep a diet, and I agree with that 100%. It's better to be thankful that somebody put in the time and effort. It's rude, no matter what that person is serving, to not partake And I mean, if you have severe food allergies, obviously
I mean,
avoid
you
the
remember,
peanuts. But
because you don't like seafood, and when we were the one party we went to in Mexico,
I don't like shellfish. Yeah.
they served tostadas with some kind of seafood salad.
Yeah, they had shrimp in there, and they had the fake crab, the imitation crab meat. Yeah. Hmm. And I have not eaten shrimp and crab in really ever. I have had it on social occasions or whatever, but I do not care for it. I don't like it, and I don't particularly think it's all that great for it. I try to avoid it. I've done a great job, and yet, okay, this is kind of a funny antidote, only because the best way for me to eat this is to eat it really quickly and just kind of get it out of the way. So there's a tostada being served. We're in the middle of Mexico, and it's around Christmas time. And these people are bringing out. These are not wealthy people, and these people are bringing out all the stops. This is as fancy of meal as is this true or not? This is the fanciest meal they're going to have all year, and this is a tostada with a seafood salad, pretty much on top of it, which kind of took me aback because I'm used to daily tostadas are served with beans and cheese and maybe a meat of some sort, but sometimes not, whatever. And this thing is just loaded with this crab, shrimp, seafood salad stuff. So, I look at it, okay, yeah, okay. And I quick kind of scarf down this tostada, and because the Mexican people are so good, they are the sweetest folks. They are so thrilled that you are enjoying the food. I didn't even get a chance to finish chewing this last bite of this seafood tostada, and there was another one on my plate. The lady had already said, "Oh, you're enjoying it so much that," and I ate the second.
That was so funny.
Yes, I ate the second one much slower, but I told her it was delicious and I enjoyed it. I didn't like it at all, folks. This is not even something. I'm not. First of all, neither Penny or I are big on quote unquote salads, potato salad. It's not really a big thing for me. It's okay once in a while, but I didn't say I don't eat this. I didn't say this is not okay with me. I didn't virtue signal or make a stand. I ate the second one. I think I actually got Penny to eat half of the second one, and I feigned being full. Well, I didn't feign being full. I just said, "Oh no, I'm good," after the second one. But and I said thank you, and I didn't I don't eat seafood, and I don't eat crab, and I don't eat shrimp, and how rude of you to actually even think or even provide this to me for a meal, folks. This was them pulling out all the stops. Like I said, this is as fancy a meal as what they are going to make, and they love to see you enjoying their food. And they took my quick eating of this tostada with this seafood salad as I was thoroughly enjoying my meal. I guess I was smiling, so that's a good thing. And yeah, you are right. Your special dietary desires are not a license to be rude, and we have passed this mantra on to our children. We hope to pass it on to our grandchildren. It is better to keep a friend than keep a diet. We've mentioned it in past podcasts. Penny has said it before. Thank you bites. We eat what somebody puts in front of us, and we say thank you. Because whether that food is tasty to us or is not tasty to us, or we don't like it, or it's not within our dietary plan, somebody put time and effort and hopefully love and thought into preparing, probably if you go someplace, a nice meal, what they thought was going to be a very nice meal, fancy, quote unquote, fancy meal. And just please, folks, say thank you and do your best to enjoy the meal. And
if you have any comments, let us know, or any questions.
Yeah, put them down below, and I guess we're supposed to say like and subscribe or whatever all those people say. We don't really.
They know.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta. We'll cover that too. So
remember, life doesn't get better.
You get better.
We'll talk to you soon.